All right, here are the answers to the questions. Check your work. Again, as long as you're close to these, I'm good. You don't need to copy all of this, that is for sure. So number one, what was life in Europe like before humanism developed? As we know from our feudalism unit, for a long time, life and culture were focused on the church and religion. Remember, the church held power over where you went when you died, heaven or hell. And so people behaved. They wanted, obviously, to go to heaven. They did what they were told to do. The medieval church believed that you should not be worried about yourself. You should be more worried about following the rules, doing what you were told. So that all is going to change here. Number two, how did humanism develop? How did this come about? Well, the Roman Catholic Church began to decline, and why? First of all, the Black Death, which we learned about in our Day 2 lesson. People went to church and prayed, and their loved ones still died, and they began to lose faith in the church and look for other explanations to what was going on. Also, a new market economy developed, and people became more focused on money than religion. Number three, how did humanism change the idea of individual independence? People went from being serfs who were like tools of the nobles, with no freedom to think about themselves, to believing that people were important and should be able to express themselves. The author Petrarch had a great quote in the video, "Sameness is the mother of disgust, variety the cure." Or in other words, as the video said, go on and express yourself, which in the 21st century I think most people really strongly believe in. Number four, how did humanism change individual interest? Before humanism, all thought was focused on the church and afterlife. After humanism, people began to focus on the interest and experiences of the here and now. In the writings of Dante's Divine Comedy, for example, he explains his individual journey to God rather than a journey to God through the church. That's very, very different from what came before humanism. Finally, your personal connections. I hope you had fun with this. I can't wait to read your answers. For me, seizing the day, throughout college, I went on a lot of road trips to New York City and places to hike. I was constantly living life to the fullest. An example of how one person has changed the world in the 21st century. I think that's happened with a lot of different people. One of my favorite rock and roll bands, The National, write a kind of music that's totally different than anyone out there. Two of the members of the band are classical music composers, and it shows up in their outstanding writing. I think they're rather influential. And finally, are you skeptical of what you hear? I hope you are. Especially like with COVID-19 stuff going on out there all the time. We're hearing some crazy stuff. Not all of it true. You should be skeptical and going out and looking for answers from reliable sources. Don't believe everything you hear. If you have any questions about any of this, let me know. If you're good to go on all this, I would go ahead and take the quiz.